The story begins with a student named Yuji Itadori. He spends time with his friends, playing a game to summon spirits. Despite being an ordinary high school student, Yuji is incredibly powerful, especially in terms of physical strength and speed. After school, he visits his grandfather in the hospital and brings him flowers. His grandfather tells him not to bring flowers every single day. He then says that he wants to share his final words. Yuji responds that he doesn't want to hear them. His grandfather tells him, "You are strong, so help others. Make sure that when you die, there are people around you who are grieving for you." Right after saying this, his grandfather passes away. Yuji struggles to hold back his tears. Soon after, a boy named Megumi Fushiguro arrives. He is a student from Tokyo Jujutsu High. Megumi asks Yuji if he has seen a cursed object. Yuji replies that it was with him, but he gave it to his seniors. Megumi explains that it is a special grade cursed object. Because of its presence, other curses can be drawn toward it. This means Yuji's friends are now in serious danger. Meanwhile, Yuji's friends remove the seal from the cursed object. As a result, many curses gather around them. Megumi tells Yuji to stay outside because there are likely many curses inside the building. As soon as Megumi enters, he encounters a curse. He uses his 10 Shadows technique to summon 2 Shikigami. In reality, Megumi has the ability to summon up to 10 different Shikigami using this technique. Inside, Yuji's 2 friends are being held in a strange and horrifying way by the curses, and they are about to be eaten. Outside, Yuji remembers his grandfather's final words about helping others. Without hesitation, Yuji breaks through a window, jumps inside, and delivers a powerful punch to a curse, saving his friends. Afterward, Megumi eliminates the remaining curses. Yuji is about to hand the cursed object over to Megumi when suddenly another curse appears from above and attacks Megumi. Yuji rushes to help him, but the curse grabs Yuji and is about to devour him. At that critical moment, Yuji swallows the cursed object, which looks like a finger. As Megumi had warned, it is actually the finger of Ryomen Sukuna. Consuming it could have resulted in Yuji's death. However, instead of dying, an immense surge of cursed energy flows into Yuji's body, and Sukuna awakens within him. With a single slash, Sukuna slices the curse into pieces. But this creates a new problem. Sukuna has now taken control of Yuji's body. He begins, and shouts, "Where are the women? Where are the children?" Unexpectedly, Yuji manages to regain partial control over his body. Sukuna is confused, as Yuji seems capable of suppressing him. It appears that Yuji already possessed unusual physical strength and a natural resistance to cursed energy. Megumi then states that according to the rules of Jujutsu High, Yuji must be executed. Otherwise, Sukuna could eventually bring destruction to the entire world. Suddenly, Satoru Gojo appears and asks where the cursed object is. Yuji replies that he has already swallowed it. Hearing this, Gojo is shocked and asks Yuji if he can bring Sukuna back out for 10 seconds. Yuji says that he might be able to leave. While Gojo starts talking to Megumi, Sukuna suddenly takes control and launches an attack on Gojo. However, Gojo effortlessly dodges the attack and begins fighting Sukuna. With incredible ease and confidence, he overpowers him in style. After a short fight, Yuji regains control over his body. Gojo then asks Megumi what should be done with Yuji. Megumi says that according to the rules of Jujutsu High, Yuji should be executed. However, he also says that he wants to save this boy and asks Gojo to help him. Gojo then takes Yuji to another place and tells him that he is going to be executed. Yuji responds that Gojo told Megumi something different. Gojo explains that, for now, he has postponed Yuji's execution. He then explains that the object Yuji swallowed was one of Ryomen Sukuna's fingers. In total, Sukuna has 20 fingers. Yuji jokingly asks if that means 10 fingers from each hand. Gojo clarifies that Sukuna originally had 4 arms, which is why there are 20 fingers. Gojo further explains that these fingers cannot be destroyed. Their power continues to grow stronger over time. However, Yuji has the rare ability to consume them and act as Sukuna's vessel. Gojo presents Yuji with 2 choices. Either he can be executed immediately, or he can consume all 20 of Sukuna's fingers. Once all the fingers are gathered inside him, they will execute Yuji, which will permanently eliminate Sukuna as well. Yuji remembers his grandfather's final words. He then asks Gojo, if all of Sukuna's parts are destroyed, will curses disappear from this world as well? Gojo replies that it would greatly reduce the threat of curses. Yuji then makes his decision. He says that he will eat all of Sukuna's fingers. After that, whatever happens, happens. He adds confidently, I already know how I want to die. After that, Satoru Gojo takes Yuji to Tokyo, to the school for Jujutsu sorcerers, Tokyo Jujutsu High. On the way, Gojo explains that Yuji must behave properly there. Otherwise, the school's principal might decide to execute him. At that moment, Sukuna speaks through Yuji's body and says to Gojo, "Why can't you become their leader? Leadership should be decided by strength. You defeated me once, but once I fully revive, the first person I will kill is you." Gojo smiles confidently and says that the King of Curses wanting to fight him is actually an honor. He then explains that about 1,000 years ago, Ryomen Sukuna was once a human sorcerer. However, he was so powerful that people began to worship him like a god. In reality, he became known as the King of Curses. Even after his death, the sorcerers were unable to completely destroy his remains. That is why he still exists today in the form of his cursed fingers. Yuji then asks Gojo, "If you and Sukuna were to fight at full power, who would win?" Gojo replies that fighting Sukuna with all 20 fingers would be difficult. Yuji asks, "So you would lose?" Gojo answers confidently, "No, I would win." After that, Gojo completes Yuji's admission to Tokyo Jujutsu High and gives him a room to stay in. Gojo gathers his 3 students, including the new student, Nobara Kugisaki. He tells them that they are going to Tokyo. Hearing this, Nobara and Yuji Itadori become very excited. However, instead of sightseeing, Gojo brings them to fight a curse. This is actually a test for them. When they realize this, Yuji and Nobara become annoyed. Gojo gives Yuji a weapon before sending him inside, but Megumi Fushiguro does not enter the building. In reality, Gojo wants to test Nobara's abilities. After entering, a curse suddenly attacks Yuji. However, Yuji quickly dodges the attack and easily defeats the curse. When Nobara goes inside, she sees that another curse has taken a child hostage. Just as the situation becomes tense, Yuji appears from behind and cuts off the curse's arm, saving the child. The curse tries to escape, but Nobara uses her cursed technique to attack it and successfully exorcises it. After this, Kiyotaka Ijichi explains to Yuji what special grade really means. He says that first there are grade 4 curses, which can be easily defeated. Then come grade 3 curses, which can even be defeated using a handgun. After that are grade 2 curses, which cannot be defeated even with a shotgun. Then there are grade 1 curses, which are so powerful that defeating them would be difficult even with a tank. Finally, there are special grade curses, which can only be defeated by a special grade sorcerer, someone like Satoru Gojo. However, instead of sending Gojo, the school sends the 3 first-year students on the mission. At the scene, they find an injured man. Yuji wants to help him, but Megumi Fushiguro refuses. He explains that the man had previously hit a girl with his car, twice. Megumi questions Yuji, asking whether he would allow someone like that to continue harming others. Yuji then asks Megumi, "If that's the case, why did you save me?" Suddenly, Nobara Kugisaki is captured and taken away by a curse. At the same time, Megumi's divine dogs are destroyed. Then, a special grade curse appears, one that has consumed one of Ryomen Sukuna's fingers. Yuji attacks the curse, but it easily overpowers him and cuts off his hand. Desperate, Yuji asks Sukuna to help him, but Sukuna refuses. Meanwhile, Nobara is surrounded by numerous curses. She manages to defeat some of them, but there are simply too many. The special grade curse brutally beats Yuji, leaving him in terrible condition. He even begins to cry in fear. However, gathering his courage, Yuji decides to continue fighting. At one point, a curse is about to devour Nobara, but Megumi arrives just in time and saves her. He then gives Yuji a signal. Understanding the situation, Yuji allows Sukuna to take control of his body. Sukuna completely overwhelms the special grade curse. He then uses his domain expansion, called Malevolent Shrine, and instantly slices the curse into countless pieces. Afterward, Sukuna tells Yuji to take back control of his body. However, Yuji does not immediately return. Sukuna then gives a creepy smile. Sukuna walks straight toward Megumi Fushiguro, intending to kill him. In a shocking moment, Sukuna tears open Yuji's clothes and rips out his own heart from Yuji's body. He then even consumes another one of his fingers. Seeing all of this, Megumi is completely stunned. However, he gathers his courage and summons a Shikigami. Sukuna begins fighting Megumi in a calm and stylish manner. The battle becomes intense and highly interesting. Sukuna even mocks him, telling him to attack properly using cursed energy. Megumi summons another Shikigami named Orochi, which resembles a giant serpent. Both Shikigami attack Sukuna together. However, Sukuna easily destroys Orochi and then delivers a powerful kick to Megumi. As Sukuna is about to kill him, Megumi attempts to summon his strongest Shikigami, one that is incredibly powerful. However, before he can complete the summoning, it fails. At that moment, Megumi speaks to Yuji and says, "I saved you because I want to help good people, and you are a good person." After saying this, Yuji regains control of his body. Megumi feels relieved hearing those words. However, since Yuji's heart had been removed earlier, he suddenly collapses. Later, Satoru Gojo is shown speaking. He explains that this was actually a scheme by the higher-ups to send the first-year students on a dangerous mission so that Yuji would be killed. Gojo becomes angry and declares that he will not forgive those responsible. The episode ends with Megumi and Nobara Kugisaki looking emotional and shaken by everything that has happened. We see Yuji's lifeless body, but inside him, his consciousness is still alive. Before dying completely, Yuji's soul enters Ryomen Sukuna's innate domain. Inside that domain, Yuji and Sukuna fight. However, Sukuna easily defeats Yuji. After defeating him, Sukuna proposes a deal. In this deal, Sukuna will restore Yuji's heart and bring him back to life. In exchange, Sukuna wants the ability to take control of Yuji's body for 1 minute whenever he says a specific keyword. Additionally, after agreeing to the deal, Yuji will forget the conditions of their agreement. Since Yuji is about to die anyway, he decides to accept the deal. However, before finalizing it, Yuji makes one condition of his own. He tells Sukuna that whenever Sukuna takes control of his body, he must not kill or harm any innocent person. Sukuna agrees to this condition, and the two form a binding vow, a supernatural contract that even Sukuna cannot break. After this, Yuji returns to life. His heart is restored, and all of his injuries are healed. When Shoko Ieri sees him alive, she is shocked. Later, Satoru Gojo tells Shoko to keep Yuji's revival a secret. He specifically instructs her not to inform the higher-ups about it. Afterward, Gojo is seen traveling in a car. He senses that someone is following him. He tells the driver to stop the car and leave. Gojo fights Jogo, who is a special grade curse and can even talk. Jogo attacks Gojo aggressively, but because of Gojo's infinity, he cannot even touch him. Jogo is actually a very powerful curse, but he is facing Gojo. Still, you have to appreciate Jogo's courage and confidence. At one point, Jogo thinks he has defeated Gojo, but in reality, he never even touched him. Gojo then uses his cursed technique, specifically Red, which creates a massive blast. He beats Jogo very badly. In the middle of the fight, Gojo even brings Yuji there to show him something. Jogo uses his domain expansion called Coffin of the Iron Mountain, but even then, Gojo does not take any damage. Inside Jogo's own domain, Gojo activates his own domain expansion, Unlimited Void. As a result, an overwhelming amount of information floods Jogo's mind all at once, which paralyzes him and pushes him toward death. However, Gojo tears off Jogo's head, and because of that, Jogo survives. The effect of the domain does not impact Yuji, because he was in contact with Gojo. Later, another curse named Hanami comes and saves Jogo. We then see that these curses are working as a team, and among them is a human-like figure named Geto. Then we see a muscular guy named Todo. He asks Megumi what kind of girls he likes, and says that he personally likes girls with big boobs and long legs. Megumi replies that he is not into that kind of thing. He just wants a girl with a kind heart. Hearing this answer makes Todo angry, and he starts beating Megumi. In the middle of the fight, Panda, Inumaki-senpai, and Maki arrive and stop them. There is going to be an exchange event between the two teams. Before that, Todo goes to shake hands with his favorite idol. This guy is a bit strange. Some school students bully a boy named Junpei Yoshino. Later, those same students go to watch a movie with him, but they continue making noise and disturbing everyone. At that moment, Mahito appears and transforms them into curses. Mahito has the ability to touch a person and change the shape and size of their soul, which allows him to turn humans into curses. Junpei witnesses this and becomes frightened, but instead of running away, he asks Mahito if he can teach him how to do it. Meanwhile, Satoru Gojo sends Yuji Itadori and Kento Nanami to investigate the incident. There, they encounter two curses. Nanami uses his cursed tool and strikes their weak points with his technique, while Yuji channels cursed energy into his punches, causing a double impact in a single hit, and together they defeat the curses. Later, Shoko Ieri reveals that those curses were originally humans, the same people Mahito had transformed, which makes Yuji deeply upset. Mahito tells Junpei that he is experimenting to see how small or large he can make a human by reshaping their soul, and he says that if you hate someone, you can even take their life, promising that he can teach Junpei everything. After that, Nanami and Mahito fight, during which Mahito attempts to turn Nanami into a curse and uses transfigured humans, who still have emotions and can feel everything, as weapons. Mahito proves how truly evil he is. Nanami gathers a large amount of cursed energy and focuses it into his fist, and with his ratio technique, he can identify the weak points of any target, whether living or non-living, by visualizing a line that divides the body into parts. During the fight, he successfully cuts off Mahito's leg. Later, Yuji and Junpei form a genuine friendship, and Yuji even has dinner at Junpei's house. However, that night a curse kills Junpei's mother. The cursed energy came from one of Sukuna's fingers, which had been placed there. Mahito tells Junpei that someone who hated him must have planted it, but in reality, it was part of Mahito and Suguru Geto's plan. Junpei then begins attacking and killing the people he hates. Yuji arrives and fights Junpei. During the fight, Junpei attacks Yuji, but Yuji does not dodge. Junpei asks why he is not defending himself, and Yuji replies that he wants to know what happened, and that he will help him. Junpei explains that a curse killed his mother, and that it happened because of the cursed object someone had placed there. Yuji tells him to come to Jujutsu High, where his friends and teachers can help, and promises that together they will punish the person responsible. At that moment, Mahito suddenly appears and transforms Junpei into a curse. Yuji begs Sukuna to heal Junpei and says he will do anything in return, but Sukuna refuses and enjoys Yuji's suffering. Mahito and Sukuna both laugh, and Mahito hopes that Sukuna will eventually leave Yuji's body and join their side. Shortly after, Junpei dies. Yuji becomes furious and punches Mahito, leading to an intense battle between them. Mahito injures Yuji and touches Sukuna's soul, entering Sukuna's inner domain, where Sukuna warns him to leave or be destroyed. Yuji continues attacking Mahito, and Nanami arrives to join the fight. Nanami and Yuji Itadori continue beating Mahito, and after taking heavy damage, Mahito uses his domain expansion called Self-Embodiment of Perfection. Inside the domain, Nanami is trapped, while Yuji is initially outside. Since Yuji is the vessel of Sukuna, the situation becomes dangerous. We are then shown Nanami's backstory. He used to work in a company and wanted to earn a lot of money, but he felt exhausted and empty. One day, he visited a bakery where the girl at the counter told him he looked very tired, and he replied that she looked tired too. In reality, a curse was sitting on her shoulder, invisible to her. Nanami killed the curse and relieved her suffering, which made him realize that helping people gave his life meaning. Returning to the present, once someone is trapped inside a domain, the guaranteed hit effect makes death almost certain. Nanami is about to die, but Yuji breaks the domain from the outside since it is weaker externally. During this, Mahito accidentally touches Sukuna's soul and is pulled into Sukuna's inner domain, where Sukuna attacks him. Terrified, Mahito escapes. Meanwhile, Suguru Geto plans to feed Yuji all of Sukuna's fingers in order to fully revive Sukuna. After this, the Kyoto Goodwill exchange event begins between Tokyo and Kyoto Jujutsu High. The Tokyo team is led by Satoru Gojo, and the Kyoto team is led by Utahime. Gojo surprises everyone by revealing that Yuji is alive, but surprisingly, most students do not react strongly. An elder from the Kyoto side secretly orders the students to kill Yuji because he is Sukuna's vessel, ignoring the purpose of the event. The rules are simple. The team that exercises the most curses wins. Previously, Yuta Okotsu had defeated all the curses alone and secured victory. Among the Tokyo team members are Toge Inumaki, who uses cursed speech to control opponents with commands like stop or die. Panda, who is strong in hand-to-hand combat, and Maki Zenin, who comes from the Zenin clan, and, despite having no significant cursed energy, is physically powerful and highly skilled with weapons. During the event, Aoi Todo attacks Yuji aggressively and even smashes his head, then suddenly asks him what type of girls he likes. Yuji replies that he likes tall girls with big breasts. Hearing this, Todo becomes extremely happy because they share the same taste. Todo suddenly imagines a dramatic fantasy where Yuji is his best friend and they attend school together, while Todo remains obsessed with his idol Takada-chan. When the other Kyoto students try to attack Yuji together, Todo tells them to leave because he wants to fight Yuji alone. Later, Panda fights against Mekamaru, whose real name is Kokichi Muta. Panda was created by Principal Masamichi Yaga, who can place cursed energy into dolls and bring them to life, and he raised Panda like his own child. During the fight, Mekamaru attacks Nobara with his ultimate cannon, but Panda takes the attack instead. We then see Panda's different form, his gorilla mode, which greatly increases his strength. A fierce battle follows, and Mekamaru tries to destroy Panda's core, but it fails because Panda has more than one core. Eventually, Panda defeats Mekamaru, and it is revealed that inside Mekamaru is a physically weak human whose real body is extremely fragile. We see that near Toge Inumaki and the others, a first-grade curse named Hanami appears. A man creates a barrier that only prevents Satoru Gojo from entering. Everyone else can go inside. Meanwhile, Utahime and the old man encounter someone who tells the old man that he does not want to fight him, and asks where Gojo is, insulting him and telling him to step aside. Then we see Hanami fighting Megumi Fushiguro, Inumaki, and Noritoshi. Hanami destroys Megumi Shikigami in one attack, and Inumaki's curse speech has little effect on him. Hanami also punches Noritoshi. Megumi tries to summon his strongest Shikigami several times, but cannot for some reason. Inumaki stands in front of Hanami and uses curse speech, causing a powerful blast that pushes Hanami back, but blood comes out of Inumaki's mouth from the strain, and Hanami remains mostly unharmed. Then Maki Zenin arrives, and she and Megumi use weapons to cut Hanami's eyes. However, Hanami restrains both of them. At that moment, Aoi Todo makes his entrance and teaches Yuji Itadori how to use Black Flash. Yuji lands a powerful Black Flash, and Todo uses his technique to switch places by clapping his hands, allowing him to hit Hanami. Together, Yuji and Todo beat Hanami and weaken him. Todo also uses a cursed tool during the fight. Hanami absorbs energy from the surrounding trees and prepares to launch a powerful attack, possibly using a domain, but Gojo arrives in the sky. First, he defeats the man who was fighting the old man, and Hanami escapes. Gojo uses blue and red, positive and negative energy, which combine to create purple, destroying the forest and the entire area. At the same time, we see Mahito stealing Sukuna's finger and some cursed womb paintings. This was Suguru Geto's plan. Hanami would distract Gojo while Mahito stole Sukuna's fingers. Geto also mentions that Sukuna is interested in Megumi. Later, the trio goes to a school where some boys greet them. Nobara and Yuji think they are being greeted, but the boys are actually greeting Megumi. It turns out this was Megumi's old school. An old man explains that when Megumi was in school, a girl named Sumiki Fushiguro used to take care of him. Nobara and Yuji misunderstand at first, but she is revealed to be Megumi's older stepsister. We learn that Sumiki is in danger. Megumi sends Nobara and Yuji away and goes alone to search for his sister, but they return to him. Megumi explains that Sumiki has been unconscious and that the power of Yasuhachi Bridge has possessed her. The three of them go under the bridge, where they encounter a curse. Yuji fights it, and Megumi kills it using a sword. However, another curse kidnaps Nobara, and the three of them become separated. A powerful curse appears before Megumi, similar to the one previously killed by Sukuna, but even stronger. Megumi remembers Gojo telling him not to sacrifice himself just to save others, and that when he dies, he will die alone, so he should be greedy and use his full power. Sukuna had also told Yuji that he has great strength but does not use it properly. Now it is time for Megumi to use his power. Megumi activates his domain expansion, Chimera Shadow Garden, and gives a creepy smile. With the help of his divine dogs, he defeats the curse. We are shown that Sumiki is Megumi's stepsister. Megumi's father left with Sumiki's mother, leaving Megumi and Sumiki alone. Gojo raised Megumi and prevented him from being sold to the Zenin clan by his father. Gojo also supports and looks after students like Yuji, Megumi, and Yuta. Sumiki has been unconscious for a long time, almost like she has been in a coma. We are also told about a woman who could give birth to cursed spirit children, and a man named Kenjaku made her pregnant 9 times, resulting in 9 cursed womb children. It is a confusing story, and I do not want to give spoilers. The story shifts to the past, where we see Suguru Geto walking through an alley. He sees a curse, defeats it, and swallows it to absorb it. Then we see Meimei and Utahime Iori entering a building. Utahime looks a little nervous and gets scared when she sees rats. Meimei explains that she had previously left marks in this place, and she has now seen those same marks 4 times. This means they are trapped inside a barrier. Utahime says that if they run fast, the barrier might break. Mei realizes they must run in the opposite direction. They do that, and the plan succeeds. Then, Satoru Gojo and Suguru Geto arrive. A huge curse is chasing Utahime. Geto is about to make his curse eat it, but he says not to eat it now because he will swallow it later. Shoko Ieri also arrives, the doctor from Season 1. Utahime is happy to see her. Shoko tells them they were trapped inside the building for 2 days. Mei says that means she has been working for 2 days and should charge extra fees. She also asks why a barrier was not placed there. Masamichi Yaga appears and punches Gojo because creating the barrier was Gojo's responsibility. Later, Gojo and Geto are playing basketball. Gojo asks why they protect weak people. Geto replies that a good society is one where weak people also exist, and many weak people together can stand against the strong. Gojo tells him not to lecture too much or he will feel sick. They start arguing. Then their teacher Masamichi Yaga arrives and asks what they are doing. They say they are just exercising. Yaga tells them that Master Tengen has assigned them a mission. They must escort the star plasma vessel, who is a girl. Master Tengen is immortal, but his body continues to age. Every 500 years, he must merge with a new body. If he keeps aging, he will evolve and lose control of himself. Because of Tengen, barriers exist between jujutsu schools, and sorcerers can create protective barriers. If he evolves uncontrollably, he could become a threat, like a curse. So every 500 years, Tengen merges with a star plasma vessel to reset himself and prevent evolution. The girl chosen as the vessel is Riko Amanai. Some people want to stop this merger and try to kill her by throwing her off a building, but Geto saves her. Geto captures one of the attackers using a curse and calmly drinks tea while questioning him. The man says he will not abandon the Q group and that there is also a buyer who will kill them, but Gojo has already captured that buyer. Geto asks if he means that buyer. Then we are introduced to Toji Fushiguro, Megumi's father. He is gambling on boat racing. A broker named Shu Kong approaches him and asks how the job is going. Toji says he wants to defeat the Gojo clan's boy, but he cannot beat him without preparation. First, he will send several people to exhaust him. The broker mentions Fushiguro, and Toji briefly forgets his own son. Later, Gojo carries Riko in his arms. Riko slaps Gojo hard and says if they try to kill her, she will fight back. Geto says they are there to protect her. Riko insults both of them, calling them the white-haired guy and the long-haired guy. They end up pulling her around jokingly. A woman arrives and explains they are there to help her. Riko says she is happy to merge with Master Tengen and goes to school. Tengen tells Gojo to let Riko do what she wants. Gojo complains about her attitude. Geto explains that once she merges with Tengen, she will spend her entire life as Tengen and protect Jujutsu High's barriers. She will never be able to live normally or be with her friends again. The woman becomes sad and explains that Riko has no family. Her parents died in an accident when she was young, and she has raised Riko since childhood. Geto tells Gojo to go spend time with her. Geto meets an old man and releases 2 small curses to test him. The old man says the boy is weak in relying on curses, and that he will defeat him in hand-to-hand combat. Geto then sends a large curse, traps him in an illusion, and beats him. Meanwhile, Gojo goes to Riko's school and loudly calls out her name. The girls think he is her boyfriend and comment on how tall and handsome he is, especially his beautiful eyes. A teacher says he cannot enter like that, but gives him her number. The students and teacher argue over him. Gojo leaves with Riko. This was part of Toji's plan. He placed a bounty on Riko's head, so many masked attackers show up. Gojo defeats them easily, and the woman defeats one too. Gojo uses red, but not at full mastery since he is still learning. Even though he is young, he is extremely strong. Some people kidnap Kuroi, but they rescue her. They spend time at the beach and enjoy themselves. Gojo has not slept for many days. We also see a small scene of Nanami. The 4 of them eat and relax before returning to Jujutsu High's barrier. It feels like the calm before the storm. Suddenly, Gojo is attacked. A blade pierces through his chest. Everyone is shocked because they are inside the barrier, and Gojo has infinity. How could this happen? Toji reveals himself. He says that when Gojo was a child, he once approached him, and Gojo sensed him standing behind him. Something no one else had ever done. He knew Gojo was different. Geto attacks Toji with curses, but Gojo tells Geto and Kuroi to take Riko to Tengen while he handles Toji. Gojo says he is not badly injured and has used cursed energy to minimize damage. Toji destroys Geto's curses and pulls out different weapons from a curse that acts like an inventory. He is extremely fast. Gojo uses maximum output techniques, but Toji hides and surrounds him with flying curses. Then he attacks from behind and pierces through infinity. The weapon Toji uses is the inverted Spear of Heaven, which nullifies cursed techniques, making cursed energy useless. Meanwhile, Geto and Riko approach Tengen. Geto explains that if she crosses the steps and reaches the giant tree, she will enter a special barrier that only those invited can access. If she does not want to merge, she can return with them. Their teacher had said refusing would be a sin, but Gojo and Geto had secretly planned that if she did not want to merge, they would protect her until the end. Riko becomes emotional and says she wants to spend more time with everyone and refuses to merge. Geto extends his hand to take her back. At that moment, Toji suddenly appears and shoots Riko. He says he has already killed Gojo. Geto becomes furious and summons all his strongest curses, declaring that now Toji will die. Suguru Geto attacks Toji Fushiguro with a curse. But Toji is extremely fast and instantly kills it. Toji claims that he has also killed Kuroi, which makes Geto even more furious. In rage, Geto unleashes all of his curses and fires multiple cursed energy beams at Toji. But Toji destroys every single curse effortlessly, without using any cursed energy himself. Geto tries to analyze Toji's inventory curse, the one that stores his weapons. But before he can think it through, Toji suddenly attacks him and leaves him severely injured, nearly dead. In that moment, Toji briefly remembers his son, Megumi Fushiguro. Later, the broker reveals that Kuroi was not actually killed. As Toji walks away, he suddenly encounters Satoru Gojo, alive. Toji is shocked. Gojo survived by mastering reverse cursed technique and healing himself. He speaks in a strange, almost euphoric way, as if intoxicated, because he has awakened to a higher understanding of cursed energy. Toji attacks him again, but this time, Gojo effortlessly dodges every strike. None of Toji's sword attacks can even touch him due to infinity. Gojo uses cursed technique reversal, red, blasting Toji far away. Then, Gojo rises into the sky. Toji attacks again with his blade, but he still cannot reach Gojo. Finally, Gojo combines blue and red to create hollow purple and fires it at Toji. The attack fatally wounds Toji. Before dying, Toji tells Gojo that in 2 years, his son will be sold to the Zenin clan. If Gojo wants to save him, he can. Then, Toji dies. Later, Gojo carries Riko Amanai's lifeless body. Geto arrives and says, "Gojo, you're alive?" Nearby, members of the Time Vessel Association are clapping and celebrating Riko's death. Gojo asks Geto if he should kill them all. Geto replies that it would have no meaning. Gojo says he would not regret it, and he would not do it for any benefit. After this incident, Gojo, Geto, and Shoko Iiri begin taking separate missions. Geto becomes mentally disturbed. Every time he exercises a curse, he absorbs it. He says cursed energy tastes like something rotten and unbearable. He questions himself, am I going to keep watching my friends die for the sake of weak humans? During a mission, Kento Nanami and Yu Haibara are sent to exorcise what is believed to be a second-grade curse. However, it turns out to be a first-grade curse. The curse kills Yu Haibara. Nanami is filled with anger because a second-grade sorcerer was sent against a first-grade curse. Hearing this, Geto thinks to himself, am I just going to keep watching my friends die like this? Later, Geto is called to a village. The villagers have imprisoned 2 small girls, blaming them for several deaths. They insult and abuse the girls, claiming the deaths were caused by them. However, Geto discovers that a curse was responsible. He eliminates the curse, but instead of stopping there, Geto kills all the villagers to save the 2 girls. When Satoru Gojo hears about this, he cannot believe it. Their teacher confirms that Geto even killed his own parents. Shoko speaks to Geto and asks him directly if it's true. Geto calmly says yes. She calls Gojo there as well. Geto declares that he wants to create a world where only jujutsu sorcerers exist. Shoko is shocked, but remains quiet. Gojo arrives angrily and confronts Geto. You're going to kill everyone who isn't a sorcerer? Even your own parents? Do you realize how many people that is? That's impossible. Geto responds, it might be impossible for you to understand. If I had your strength, I would have achieved this dream long ago. Gojo cannot bring himself to kill his best friend. Geto walks away. Later, Gojo goes to find Megumi. He explains that Megumi's father had arranged to sell him to the Zenin clan because the clan values powerful sorcerers. Geto becomes mentally disturbed. Every time he exercises a curse, he absorbs it. He says cursed energy tastes like something rotten and unbearable. He questions himself, am I going to keep watching my friends die for the sake of weak humans? During a mission, Kento Nanami and Yu Haibara are sent to exorcise what is believed to be a second-grade curse. However, it turns out to be a first-grade curse. The curse kills Yu Haibara. Nanami is filled with anger because a second-grade sorcerer was sent against a first-grade curse. Hearing this, Geto thinks to himself, am I just going to keep watching my friends die like this? Later, Geto is called to a village. The villagers have imprisoned two small girls, blaming them for several deaths. They insult and abuse the girls, claiming the deaths were caused by them. However, Geto discovers that a curse was responsible. He eliminates the curse, but instead of stopping there, Geto kills all the villagers to save the two girls. When Satoru Gojo hears about this, he cannot believe it. Their teacher confirms that Geto even killed his own parents. Shoko speaks to Geto and asks him directly if it's true. Geto calmly says yes. She calls Gojo there as well. Geto declares that he wants to create a world where only jujutsu sorcerers exist. Shoko is shocked, but remains quiet. Gojo arrives angrily and confronts Geto. You're going to kill everyone who isn't a sorcerer? Even your own parents? Do you realize how many people that is? That's impossible. Geto responds, it might be impossible for you to understand. If I had your strength, I would have achieved this dream long ago. Gojo cannot bring himself to kill his best friend. Geto walks away. Later, Gojo goes to find Megumi. He explains that Megumi's father had arranged to sell him to the Zenin clan because the clan values powerful sorcerers. Megumi can see curses, which makes him valuable. Gojo decides to take responsibility for Megumi and his sister himself, and from that day onward, Gojo becomes their guardian. After this, we are shown Yuta Okotsu, who is being bullied by some school students. But Rika Orimoto comes from behind and beats them up. Then, the higher-ups of Jujutsu High want to execute Yuta, and Yuta also agrees to it. Yuta had tried to kill himself, but Rika came in between. Satoru Gojo takes responsibility for Yuta. Gojo tells Yuta to come to Jujutsu High, but Yuta says, I am not going anywhere, otherwise I will hurt someone. Gojo says, why? Use your power, don't take tension. Gojo introduces Maki, Panda, and Inumaki-senpai to a new student. As soon as Yuta makes his entry, everyone gets shocked and attacks him because Yuta has a huge amount of cursed energy. By the way, tell me one thing. Why did they make Maki Zenin so hot? We are shown a past scene where Yuta and Rika are children, and they jokingly get married, but in a car accident Rika dies. Because of this, Yuta goes into deep shock and releases a lot of negative energy, which turns Rika into a curse. So do not bully Yuta, otherwise Rika will beat everyone badly. Yuta and the other students say that Gojo is a little strange because he is telling all this right now. Maki says many bad things to Yuta, like he used to get bullied and that he was kept here out of pity. This makes Panda and Inumaki angry. Yuta and Maki go on a mission where Maki kills some curses. Maki calls Yuta weak and asks for his ID. After seeing the ID, Maki gets shocked because Yuta was given the rank of special grade. A big curse appears there and swallows both of them. There, they also see two children, and Maki becomes unconscious. The children say to Yuta, won't you save us? Yuta calls Rika, and Rika beats that big curse badly and starts hitting it. Yuta saves everyone. We are shown in the past that Rika and Yuta were playing. The head of Jujutsu tells Gojo to kill that curse, meaning Rika and Yuta as well. But Gojo says that as long as he is there, that cannot happen. Gojo gives Yuta a katana and says, use your cursed energy and that katana. Yuta and Maki train with wooden swords. Look at some of Maki's interesting moves. Satoru Gojo sends Toge Inumaki and Yuta Okotsu on a mission. Inumaki does not talk much because he uses cursed speech. With his voice, he can create massive blasts. Inumaki uses cursed speech and kills a curse. From behind, another curse appears. Inumaki uses cursed speech again, but it has no effect on that curse. Because of this, Inumaki's throat gets damaged. Inumaki does not want to hurt anyone with his cursed speech, so he speaks using the names of food dishes, words that do not trigger the effect of his cursed technique. Yuta goes to fight that curse. He uses cursed energy on his katana and attacks it, but it has no effect, and the curse attacks Yuta. Yuta throws throat medicine to Inumaki. Inumaki then uses cursed speech again and kills that curse, and together they defeat it. Actually, sending the special grade curse there was part of Suguru Geto's plan. A girl and her mother come to Geto to tell him about their problem. Geto removes the curse attached to the girl. After that, Geto takes a cool photo with his assistant. Geto forms a team to do something bad. He appears with his team in front of Yuta's group. Yuta wants to use powers like Geto's, just like Rika. Geto manipulates Yuta Yuta and says that they will kill all non-sorcerers and create a world only for jujutsu sorcerers. Everyone is shocked after hearing this. Gojo arrives and says, "Do not provoke my students." Geto tells Maki Zenin that she is the biggest failure of the Zenin clan. Yuta says, "I do not understand your words, and I will not help someone who insults my friends." Then Yuta declares war against all of them. Maki tells Yuta that she has no cursed energy inside her. She uses glasses to see curses, and she wants to end her clan. Geto creates a barrier and attacks with many curses and his team. Geto seriously injures Maki, and Panda fights Geto. Panda gives a good fight, but Geto stabs him with a sword. Inumaki uses cursed speech to attack Geto, but Geto returns. Geto uses a very powerful curse and badly injures everyone. Yuta fights Geto and brings his friends to safety and heals them. Rika becomes jealous of Maki and starts shaking her strongly, but Yuta tells her to let her go. Here, Mei defeats many curses in a very impressive way, killing a total of 50 curses. Meanwhile, Gojo fights Miguel and defeats him badly. There, Rika, Yuta, and Geto fight. Geto uses a cursed tool. Yuta punches Geto very hard. Geto summons his powerful curses, and Yuta kisses Rika, which makes Rika very happy. Rika and Yuta perform a full love attack, which severely injures Geto. In the final moments, Gojo talks to his friend Geto. The story now returns to the present in 2018. Yuji Itadori asks Nobara Kugisaki to watch a movie called Human Earthworm 4th. Nobara says that she has not watched the first, second, or third parts yet. Yuji starts giving her a recap, but Nobara refuses to watch the movie. A tall girl then asks Nobara about Yuji. She explains that she used to be a little overweight before, but now she has grown taller and become slim, so she looks much better. The girl wants Yuji's phone number. At that moment, Megumi Fushiguro arrives and says that there might be a chance because Yuji does not have a girlfriend. The girl asks Megumi what kind of girls Yuji likes. Megumi replies that Yuji likes tall girls. Everyone actually knows that Yuji likes girls with big boobs and a big butt, but Megumi says this to protect him. Then Yuji arrives. At first, he does not recognize the girl, but after a moment, he realizes that she is Yuko Ozawa. Ozawa explains that Yuji liked her even before, when she was overweight. Even when she was fat, Yuji accepted her. This shows that Yuji is a very kind and genuine person. Hearing this makes Nobara a little jealous because Yuji might soon get a girlfriend, while Nobara still does not have a boyfriend. After this, we see Suguru Geto and Mahito arriving near Kokichi Muda, Mekamaru, to kill him. Mekamaru had made a deal with them. He promised to give information about Jujutsu High to Mahito and Kenjaku, and in return, Mahito had to heal his body. Mahito heals Mekamaru, but he still plans to kill him afterward. Mekamaru activates all of his puppets and begins fighting Mahito. Mahito destroys every puppet one by one, so Mekamaru finally controls his biggest puppet, which is basically a giant robot. He fires an ultra cannon at Mahito. The attack damages Mahito, but it does not affect him very much. Mahito continues avoiding all of Mekamaru's attacks because his soul is not being harmed. However, Mekamaru eventually lands an attack that directly hits Mahito's soul, causing serious damage. After that, Mekamaru releases an attack powered by 5 years of stored cursed energy. Mahito keeps moving forward while avoiding the attacks and transforming into different animal forms. Eventually, Mahito receives a powerful hit, which causes his domain expansion to activate. Mahito believes he has already won because Mekamaru is inside his domain. But Mekamaru has a technique that can even work inside a domain. His robot drives a large sword into Mahito's chest and activates Simple Domain, which is similar to the technique used by Kasumi Miwa. At that moment, Mekamaru thinks about Miwa and hopes that maybe he will be able to meet her again, because he clearly cares about her. He then attacks Kenjaku, but Mahito suddenly appears from behind and kills Mekamaru. Later, we see Miwa talking to Mekamaru's robot. She says that she really likes him and wants to become closer to him, but she has no idea that the person controlling the robot has already died. Meanwhile, Kenjaku creates a barrier around Tokyo, and a massive crowd gathers there because it is Halloween. People are wearing different costumes. We also see Mei and her younger brother Ui. The way these two siblings talk and behave feels strange, and it seems like something unusual might be going on between them. Even Yuji reacts with a weird expression when he sees them. Soon, we see Satoru Gojo being attacked by Jogo, Nanami Kento, and Choso. We also learn that some humans have been turned into curses, something that was most likely done by Mahito. Meanwhile, Yuji sees a grasshopper-like curse eating a man. Yuji immediately punches the curse and starts fighting it. The two exchange punches rapidly like a boxing match, and Yuji eventually knocks the curse out just like Mike Tyson. At this point, it becomes clear that all of this is part of Geto's plan. But one thing must be clarified. This is not actually Geto. Geto had already died earlier. The person using his body is Kenjaku. The curses working with him believe that he is still Geto, which is why they follow him. Kenjaku designed the entire plan to fight Gojo in the middle of a crowded area. Gojo is extremely powerful in a normal fight, so surrounding him with civilians prevents him from freely using his most destructive techniques. Jogo and Nanami attack Gojo using domain amplification, but Gojo easily avoids their attacks. During the chaos, many ordinary people also get injured. Gojo completely humiliates his enemies during the fight. When Gojo uses his technique, Hanami cannot withstand the pressure and gets crushed. Jogo tries to escape from Gojo while throwing humans in Gojo's path to slow him down, and he relies on Choso's help. Meanwhile, Yuji witnesses a human being transformed into a curse by Mahito, which makes Yuji even more furious. Suddenly, a train arrives, and the trapped civilians. However, the train is filled with curses that begin attacking and killing people. Mahito also appears there. Choso and Mahito kill many civilians using powerful attacks such as supernova. They believe that Gojo can no longer use his techniques because of the crowd around him, but Gojo proves them wrong. He activates Domain Expansion Unlimited Void for only 0.2 seconds, and within that brief moment, he eliminates around 1,000 curses. Then Geto, who is actually Kenjaku, appears in front of Gojo and speaks to him. Seeing the face of his old friend confuses Gojo, and he cannot believe what he is seeing. Gojo says, "You are not Geto. You look like him physically, but my heart tells me that you are not him." Kenjaku then reveals his true identity. He explains that he can enter the bodies of dead people, control them, and use all of their abilities. Finally, Kenjaku successfully seals Gojo. Here is the English translation with corrected grammar, keeping the same story and details you wrote. Satoru Gojo says, "You may have sealed me, but now it is time for you to wake up, Geto." At that moment, Suguru Geto's body suddenly reacts and grabs Kenjaku's throat for a short time. Soon after that, Gojo becomes completely sealed. Because of this, Kokichi Muta, Mekamaru's robot becomes active. Mekamaru had already planned this earlier. Through the robot, he informs Yuji Itadori and Meimei that Gojo has been sealed and that they need to rescue him. Ui says that he will stay with Meimei, while Yuji moves forward. At the same time, all the special grade curses begin to wake up. If Gojo had used his domain expansion for more than 0.2 seconds, all of them would have died. The sealing box that Kenjaku was holding even falls down for a moment because Gojo is on a completely different level. Meanwhile, a strange man named Haruta Shigamo suddenly appears and starts stabbing Kiyotaka Ijichi from behind with a knife. The place where Gojo has been sealed cannot be moved at all, because it contains Satoru Gojo himself. Yuji then informs everyone that Gojo has been sealed, which immediately makes all the sorcerers extremely alert. At this point, Choso wants to kill Yuji and Nobara Kugisaki because they killed his brother earlier. Jogo says that they should kill Yuji because he is the vessel of Ryomen Sukuna. Mahito also wants to kill Yuji. However, Jogo says that if Sukuna awakens, he might end up killing them instead. Mahito then suggests that if he manages to kill Yuji first, Jogo should feed Yuji all of Sukuna's fingers before that happens. Because of this, a kind of competition starts between them. Meanwhile, Kenjaku does not care about this at all. He simply keeps watching the sealed Gojo. Then, two girls appear and demand that Kenjaku return Geto's body. These are the same two girls who were raised by Geto when they were younger. It seems that they had made some kind of deal with Kenjaku so that he could use Geto's body. But now, those two girls warn Kenjaku that he will regret this. Yuji throws a powerful punch at the barrier, but it doesn't break. Seeing this, Takuma Ino says that this boy might be even more powerful than Nanami. He then says that they first need to catch the person who created this barrier. Then we see three people. One of them, a bald man, says that it will take time for these sorcerers to reach up here. But just then, Yuji catches them with a rope. To break this barrier, they need to destroy the nails. There are 3 nails in total. They manage to break one of them, but the remaining nails are with the bald man. The bald man falls from the building, but nothing happens to him. Megumi then says, "Baldy, stop acting." The bald man replies, "You called me bald? Kids these days have no manners." Then we see Ino and Nanami having lunch. Ino asks Nanami to recommend him because he respects Nanami a lot. After that, Ino fights with an old grandmother and another man. Ino uses a spear. The man manages to avoid it, but the spear counterattacks and damages him. After that, the two of them continue fighting. Meanwhile, Yuji and Megumi attack the bald man together, but it doesn't affect him at all. At the same time, Ino continues fighting that man. Ino was giving him a tough fight, but the grandmother uses some kind of mantra and curse energy. The man also eats something. As soon as the grandmother says Zenin Toji, the man transforms into Toji. He removes Ino's mask and punches him. Then we see a scene from Gojo's childhood in 1989. Gojo looks almost like Lord Buddha. Here, a girl shows her father her school uniform and wishes him a happy birthday. She sits on her father's lap and suddenly kills her own father. That girl later turns out to be the old woman. We are also shown the bald man, who was killing people in a very strange and dangerous way. At that time, Gojo was still young, and there was a huge bounty on his head. But people were already afraid just because of Gojo's presence. Someone says that ever since Gojo was born, it has become very difficult for curses to survive. Meanwhile, Yuji and Megumi keep fighting the bald man, but their attacks still don't affect him. Megumi summons many rabbits and surrounds the bald man. Then Megumi summons an elephant and drops it on him. Yuji also throws a car on top of him. Megumi finally understands his technique. It is a reversal type technique. That's why Megumi first attacks with a weak strike, and then Yuji follows with a powerful attack. They keep repeating this strategy. Yuji pauses for 1 second before attacking, and this time, the bald man finally gets injured and falls down. Megumi sees Ino falling from above, and Yuji and Megumi catch him together. At that moment, Toji goes out of control and kills the old grandmother. Because of this, Ino survives, but he is injured. Meanwhile, Nanami saves Ichiji. At the same time, Haruta Shigemo is fighting Nobara and Nita. Haruta's weapon was moving on its own. Nobara was attacking him using her nails and hammer technique. Haruta's weapon knocks Nita down, and Nobara uses her nails to make a broken wall fall on Haruta. However, it has no effect on him. Then, Haruta's weapon punches Nobara, and Haruta starts attacking Nita with a knife. Just then, Nanami arrives. Haruta throws a punch at him, but it has absolutely no effect. Nanami is very angry. He uses his ratio technique, 7-3, and lands a powerful punch. Haruta is sent flying far away. Nanami grabs Haruta by the hair and asks him how many allies he has, then hits him with another strong punch, which knocks Haruta unconscious. After that, they go to check on Nita. Mei encounters Geto and becomes shocked when she sees him, because Geto was supposed to be dead. She starts wondering if Gojo and Geto could be working together and planning destruction. But she immediately rejects that idea, thinking it cannot be possible. If Gojo wanted, he could easily kill everyone. He would never use such a cheap trick. She concludes that this person must be an imposter pretending to be Geto. The fake Geto summons a curse and tells it to deal with Mei first and then return to him. The curse uses its domain and traps Mei inside a coffin. However, Mei breaks the coffin and escapes before anything happens. After that, we find out that Ajichi is still alive. Meanwhile, Yuji encounters Choso. Choso says, "Itadori Yuji, I will kill you and take revenge for my brothers." He then uses piercing blood, which injures Yuji. After that, Choso launches many attacks on Yuji using blood manipulation. Eventually, he prepares to use Supernova, an attack that could even kill Yuji. Yuji tries to dodge the attacks, but he still gets hit several times. Choso continues attacking him relentlessly. At that moment, Mechamaru's robot starts speaking and tells Yuji about a plan. Mechamaru manipulates Choso and lures him into a bathroom. Water starts flowing there, and because of the water, Choso cannot properly control his blood. This means Mechamaru's plan works. They begin fighting in hand-to-hand combat. However, Choso had secretly saved a single drop of blood, which he fires at Yuji like a bullet. The attack damages Yuji's organs. Yuji gathers his cursed energy, while Choso uses flowing red scale. Their battle becomes extremely intense. Yuji keeps getting injured, but he had saved his divergent fist attack for the right moment. When Yuji finally uses it, the attack backfires, and Yuji ends up getting hit instead. Yuji collapses and loses consciousness. Choso is about to kill Yuji, but suddenly Sukuna's soul speaks and says, "Did I really lose to someone this pathetic?" Choso becomes terrified at that moment. Suddenly, something strange starts happening in his mind, and he sees a vision where Choso, his brothers, and Yuji are all sitting together and eating food like a family. I also forgot to mention one more thing. During the fight, Yuji receives a mark on his body, and that mark is not going to disappear anytime soon. Meanwhile, Mei is fighting a dangerous curse that can trap its target inside a coffin for 3 seconds. If someone stays inside too long, they can die from a mysterious illness, and the curse then drops a huge rock on the coffin. The curse cannot see normally, and instead attacks wherever it senses cursed energy. Mei hides with her brother Wee Wee and decides to use him as bait. Wee Wee releases his cursed energy. The curse traps him in the coffin, but Mei quickly appears, cuts off the curse's arm, and finishes it using her crow technique, Bird Strike. Afterward, she briefly faces the fake Suguru Geto. Meanwhile, Kento Nanami, Maki Zenin, and Naobito Zenin encounter an octopus-like curse named Dagon. At first, Naobito casually attacks him, but Dagon vomits the remains of the people he had eaten and becomes enraged, remembering that Hanami was killed by Satoru Gojo. He transforms into his true form and floods the area with water. Naobito explains his technique, projection sorcery, which allows him to move within 24 frames per second and perform 24 actions in a single second. Nanami, Maki, and Naobito attack together, but it barely affects Dagon, who then activates his domain expansion, Horizon of the Captivating Skanda, turning the battlefield into a water-filled island and attacking them with water Shikigami. Inside the domain, Dagon targets Maki first because he believes she is the weakest, but suddenly, Megumi Fushiguro appears and joins the fight. Megumi tries to use his domain expansion, Chimera Shadow Garden, to create an escape route, while explaining that Yuji Itadori is acting strangely and Takuma Ino is badly injured. The battle becomes brutal. Nanami and Maki are seriously hurt, and Dagon even cuts off one of Naobito's arms. Megumi gathers everyone near him and unexpectedly summons Toji Fushiguro, using the grandmother's seance technique. Toji immediately grabs Maki's weapon and overwhelms Dagon with pure physical strength, destroying his Shikigami and repeatedly stabbing him until Dagon is killed while Naobito blocks his escape. Afterward, Toji walks toward Megumi, but suddenly Jogo appears, furious over Dagon's death, and burns everyone with his flames. He then senses the presence of Ryomen Sukuna, as two mysterious girls begin force-feeding Sukuna's fingers to Yuji. Jogo adds even more fingers, and finally Sukuna awakens, causing everyone present to fear him. Megumi is fighting Toji, and he senses the presence of one of Sukuna's fingers. To protect himself, he summons a large number of rabbits using his rabbit escape technique. However, Toji easily kills all the rabbits and reaches Megumi. Megumi keeps dodging Toji's attacks. Meanwhile, Kusakabe doesn't want to go into the building ahead because there are powerful curses inside. He would rather stay with Panda since Panda is strong. Suddenly, two people arrive. Kusakabe says that there is no point in fighting and suggests they should calmly talk instead. At that moment, Toji touches Megumi and immediately realizes that he is his son. He asks Megumi for his name. Megumi replies that his name is Megumi Fushiguro. Toji is when he hears Fushiguro instead of Zenin. This means Satoru Gojo kept his promise and prevented the Zenin clan from buying Megumi, and instead raised him properly. Hearing this, Toji feels satisfied and happily stabs himself in the head with his weapon. As Megumi begins to leave the area, Haruta Shigemo suddenly attacks him from behind with a sword. Elsewhere, two girls say that someone is misusing their master Suguru Geto's body, and they swear they will take revenge. At another place, Ryomen Sukuna tells Jogo that if Jogo manages to land even a single successful attack on him, Sukuna will obey one command from him. However, Sukuna also says he might kill everyone except Megumi. A fierce battle begins between Sukuna and Jogo. Jogo deserves some credit because he has fought both Gojo and Sukuna. Jogo asks the fake Geto, Kenjaku, how strong he is compared to Sukuna's fingers. Kenjaku says Jogo's power is roughly equal to 8 or 9 Sukuna fingers. Jogo attacks Sukuna using powerful lava techniques, melting buildings and causing them to collapse, which also kills many people. However, none of the attacks affects Sukuna at all. Sukuna easily overwhelms Jogo. Meanwhile, Kusakabe says that in a battle between monsters like them, normal people like them will be crushed. He tries to run away, but Sukuna suddenly appears and orders everyone to stop. He says that if anyone moves before he says run, he will kill them all. At that moment, a massive blast from Jogo falls from above. Sukuna then says, "Run!" and everyone escapes. It shows that Sukuna was simply playing with their lives. Jogo thinks that such a powerful attack must have affected Sukuna, but Sukuna says the attack never even touched him. Sukuna asks why Jogo doesn't use his domain expansion. Jogo replies that even if he uses it, he will still lose. Sukuna calls him a coward and reminds him that he already lost to Gojo. However, Sukuna says he actually likes Jogo's fighting style. Sukuna then fights Jogo using the same style and finishes him with Divine Flame Fuga. Meanwhile, Megumi is badly injured. He remembers a conversation with Gojo in a flashback, where Gojo told him that long ago, a 6 Eyes user and a 10 Shadows technique user fought each other and both died. Megumi decides to summon Mahoraga, even though he does not have enough strength to control control it. To complete the ritual, he includes Haruta in it as well. No one has ever successfully controlled Mahoraga, and once it appears, it will kill everyone. Megumi begins the ritual and says he will go first, then Haruta. As soon as Divine General Mahoraga appears, it punches Megumi hard and moves toward Haruta. However, Sukuna senses Mahoraga's appearance and immediately arrives. He saves Haruta before Mahoraga can kill him. Haruta gets injured but survives. In reality, Haruta possesses a miracle ability that gives him multiple lives, 6 miracles, although he himself does not know about it. Each time he escapes death, one of those miracles is consumed. Sukuna heals Megumi because he has plans involving him. Sukuna wants to fight Mahoraga to complete the ritual. A massive battle begins between Sukuna and Mahoraga. Sukuna attacks using cleave and dismantle while skillfully dodging Mahoraga's attacks. Mahoraga launches a barrage of punches and even throws vehicles and buildings, but Sukuna blocks everything. Sukuna enjoys the fight and continuously attacks Mahoraga. However, Mahoraga keeps regenerating after being cut. During the battle, the massive destruction kills thousands of people. Sukuna realizes that Mahoraga's wheel is rotating and adapting to every technique used against it. It can analyze and adapt to any attack. Interested, Sukuna uses Domain Expansion, Malevolent Shrine. Unlike normal domains, it does not create a barrier and instead affects everything within a 200-meter radius. However, Sukuna reduces the range to 140 meters to avoid harming Megumi. Inside the domain, Sukuna uses Cleave and Dismantle, which automatically hit their target. Everything within the range is cut apart. Mahoraga keeps adapting to the attacks, but before it can fully adapt, Sukuna uses Divine Flame and finally destroys Mahoraga. Afterward, Sukuna lets Haruta go, but then suddenly cuts him in half. Haruta's miracles had already been used up earlier during his fight with Nanami, so this time he truly dies. Sukuna then returns control of the body to Yuji Itadori and forces him to witness the destruction. Yuji sees the city completely devastated with countless dead people everywhere. The sight mentally breaks him. Meanwhile, Kento Nanami appears. He wants to go home and rest, but he reminds himself that he still needs to protect Megumi, Maki, and others. He wonders what happened to Naobito Zenin. Nanami is badly burned and exhausted, yet he continues fighting curses. Suddenly, Mahito appears and kills Nanami by transforming him with his idol transfiguration. With his final words, Nanami tells Yuji to take care of the rest. Filled with rage, Yuji attacks Mahito. Mahito uses transfigured humans to fight Yuji, knowing Yuji hates hurting humans. Mahito strikes Yuji's face, leaving a permanent scar. Mahito even mocks Junpei's death, which makes Yuji furious. Yuji reminds himself not to lose control because Nanami never lost his composure. A fierce fight begins between Yuji and Mahito. Mahito uses new techniques and clones. Yuji fights back using Divergent Fist. Mahito hides and tricks Yuji by using transfigured humans. Yuji is lured into a trap and punched by Mahito. It is then revealed that there are actually 2 Mahitos. One goes to fight Nobara Kugisaki, calling her cute and saying he will deal with her gently. Nobara attacks Mahito with her straw doll technique and nails, damaging his head. She spreads many nails on the ground and uses resonance, which damages both the clone and the real Mahito. Nobara realizes the one she is fighting is a clone that cannot use idol transfiguration by touching people. At the same time, Yuji realizes Nobara is fighting Mahito. While Nobara fights the clone, the real Mahito creates multiple forms and switches places with the clone. The real Mahito then touches Nobara, activating idol transfiguration on her. At the same moment, Yuji lands a powerful punch on Mahito. Mahito says that earlier he couldn't kill the 7:3 ratio technique user, Nanami, with a single touch. So now he wants to see what will happen to this girl. After that, the story shows Nobara's flashback.